Advertising is referred to as being overt, obvious. We see advertisements, we recognise them, we know what they're trying to do, trying to inform us about something, sell us something perhaps. Public relations is not overt, it is covert, much more hidden. We could read something in a newspaper or magazine and not know that public relations activity was behind that article. So it is very different from advertising, much more subtle. However, there are many elements of PR that we need to consider. We need to consider there is the need for research and analysis, the need for counselling management when they have decisions to be made. We can give them advice before they make that decision. We need to consider there is the area of program planning, PR program planning, which I'm going to cover with you in a moment, often referred to as PR campaign planning, and then that program or campaign evaluation. So let us first of all look at the first one of those two. One is campaign planning. There are a number of elements we need to consider, and they are as follows. One, what is the situation? Let's appreciate the situation. Let's be clear on what it is that the company is aware of that makes them recognise they do need to spend money on public relations activity. The second is the defining of the objectives. Defining them, making them crystal clear, unambiguous, perhaps in a single sentence. Then we must define our public or publics. We might simply want to only communicate with employees. Possibly the fact that we are planning to change premises in our city from early next year. Let's inform our employees first. Quite simple. We might need to then inform other publics at some later stage, such as distributors and suppliers. We need to be clear in our choice of media. Which media will reach our targeted publics best at an affordable cost? Would it be one magazine as opposed to another? But if it's a magazine, would it be better if it's a weekly magazine versus a monthly magazine? If it's a newspaper, would it be better if it were a Sunday publication where people have more time to read, or a publication that takes place during the week? These are considerations we must consider. We must consider our budget. How much money do we have and how are we going to spend it? Advertising takes money quickly, easily, it eats it up very quickly. Public relations activities normally at a lower level and spread much more across the year. Clients normally like to see PR activity over perhaps 9 or 10 months of a 12-month period. Different activities in different months. It might be a release, it might be then attendance at some international trade fair, it might be a local community event in the third month, and so on and so forth. So we do different PR activities across the months. As I said earlier, we must evaluate the results, and we must have a calendar of events and timetable. We must show our client what is going to happen in which week or which month of the year. We must show how we're breaking down the total budget into component parts and how it builds up back to that total budget to be spent. So once we have a defined objective, how can we go about measuring the results once our PR activity, our PR program of events has taken place? We can introduce in modern age a dedicated phone number. So we do PR activity in the newspaper, we include the company name and telephone number. That's a dedicated phone line. We can count every phone call that comes in as a result of that. That is measurable. Indeed, if people then want to inquire about something, ask for something further to be sent to them, such as a booklet, we can measure that as well. So that is by inquiries received. It's one way of measuring our PR activity. Another is to know our media. We know how many people watch a television program, how many people buy a particular newspaper, how many people read that newspaper. All of these pieces of information are available because independent research companies do this activity on a month-by-month basis. So So we can work out whether we're going to reach more men or more women by using a particular publication. But then what particular type of men or women? More wealthy, more middle market people, or more down market people, which might suit our client, or indeed our client's products or services. In doing this, we can work out the quality of the readership. If in the UK we get some editorial activity in the Financial Times, for example, about 1% of people in the population read that, and yet they are clearly amongst the wealthiest people in the population. So that is quality. If you want some editorial to appear in the Sun newspaper, then we're going to reach many, many more people, more of a mass audience, but they are people that are much more working class and therefore less wealthy. We can work out in advance that we're going to send a release, for example, to 6 publications. And we can work out, together with our client, which are most important. 6 publications. 2 are very important, we give them 5 out of 5. 2 are less important, we give them 4 out of 5. And 2 are less important, again, 3 out of 5. So we send a news release to 6 publications. If one of the important ones uses that, one of the medium ones uses that, and one of the lesser ones uses that, that's 5 plus 4 plus 3, that's 12. So we have 12, we can count, 5 plus 4 plus 3. 12 have used it, but then the other 3 publications, also adding up to 12, did not. Then we send a second release, perhaps 6 to 8 weeks later. So the first release is to inform, that's the objective. The second release is to further educate, tell more about the company, more about the company's product, more about the company's service. And when we send the second release, perhaps the top 2 publications both use it, and perhaps one of the middle ones uses it. So there's 5 plus 5 plus 4. So this time around we have 14 as a value, and therefore clearly we have achieved better in the way of a qualitative nature second time round. And the final one I'll cover with you in the time we have is the one of attitudinal measures, people's opinions. We can have a product that we've launched, it hasn't been advertised very heavily, and PR activity is due to take place. We do some research and find out that 30% of people in the target group know of the product. We agreed to do some PR over the next 12 months. This PR program of activities, including releases and facility visits and so on and so forth, takes place, trade fair, that type of thing. And then 6 months later we do some further research. It was 30%. 6 months later now it's 46%. It has improved. And then we do some further PR activity, and at the end of the 12 months we measure once more. And we might now realise that we've come up to about 63%. We've gone from 30% right up to 63% over 12 months. We've more than doubled awareness of our clients' company's product amongst people within that target public.